G'day, I'm Ben from Catch Pro Australia on the set of Lawn Care Skull Sessions, the most unprofessional podcast in the universe. I've got two guests with me today. One is the homie, the bearded lawnsman.
Cheer.
Who else we got, Beach?
We got Uncle Duncan from fucking International Mowers, better known as like Scag. I think everyone that listens probably knows you as the Scag man now. So welcome to the hot seat. I can see you through my bits and pieces here, only just, and you're a handsome man.
Thanks, Beach. Thanks, Beach and Ben, for having me. I've been looking forward to coming on for some time, to be fair. It's great to be here.
You actually chose a reasonable week because the weather hasn't been great. But at least the sun's out.
Yeah.
But it's been hot.
Sun's out. It's hot. You know, I'm from Melbourne, so up here today, wandering around out in paddocks. It's hard to do. I don't know how you do it.
Look at the colour of my skin, mate. Yeah.
I got fucking two big holes in my back from where I got chopped up yesterday at the skin doctors. Big shout out to Sun Doctors, fucking hooking me up with a bit of a chop. But little word of advice: if you're out there and you're putting it off, fucking get it done. It's 15 minutes. Fucking go and get your skin checked.
Yeah.
You go get your fucking skin checked, Ben.
Well, I used to every year. And look, we've gotten lazy because we've been so busy.
Yeah.
But I do have a red head, so
That's what everyone says. Oh, I'm too busy.
I feel sorry for my daughter, man. Like because the
Does she
rest
cook?
of, mate, she can't even play at school without putting sun cream on. You know, they just cop it sweet.
Yeah,
Whereas my other girls, they go black as hell. So.
Yeah, they were fucking hitting me up. Oh, do you wear sunscreen? I'm like, I've only just started wearing fucking long sleeves. I thought they'd be chopping shit out of my arms, but nah, it looks like the back of my neck got a bit of a roasting at some stage. So
Yeah. So before we get too much into our episode, I do want to apologise to our listeners. We were supposed to pump out an interactive episode.
Yeah.
And then my house flooded.
yeah,
And then BJ got crook.
I got fucking influenza A.
So we decided to just say, fuck it. We knew that Duncan was coming up to Queensland at some point. And so we thought, let's run back to back we got really good feedback from our episode with Baz.
Yep.
So we're going to run it back again with International Mowers and better known as Scag Mowers probably.
Yeah,
Fuck
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, to our listeners, look, totally apologise.
Did you get some death threats?
No one actually, mate.
I've
to
had
be
a
honest,
few. Where's the fucking podcast?
Mate, a couple of people reached out to me, and two of them I probably didn't even get back to be honest.
Oh, fucking dog.
Like it's like a Friday, and they're like, "Oh, you got an episode coming out this week?" And I'm sort of like, "Come on, man." Like,
Yeah, normally we shoot on a Friday, but you were fucking swimming one week and I was spewing the next. And
at
then
the moment, if it's not about the money, then you ain't getting a reply from me.
it's fucking crazy at the moment still. Like the industry's popping. How are you guys feeling it? Like
Nuts. Yeah, it's nuts all over the country, particularly up here in Queensland, north of Sydney. Cheers, man. North of Sydney, it's just gone off.
Yeah.
You know, the rain that we got Christmas time and beyond. We were sitting there down in Melbourne, Victoria, South Australia, and Perth for us weren't bad pre-Christmas.
Yep.
But north of Sydney was just dead. And, we talked to people, talking to yourself. It was dry. People were mowing dust or just weren't mowing at all. And, we're a little bit concerned. And then did my rain dance over Christmas and away she went. Hasn't stopped.
Ever. Fucking bukkake for days, mate. I was away and all I kept getting was feedback. It was just mental here.
Someone must have done a hell of a dance in Brisbane, mate. We got when I flooded that day, we got 6 weeks worth of rain in 6 hours.
It was insane.
In 6 hours.
Yeah.
And it was just an incredible amount of moisture, mate.
Yeah.
And anyway, look, it's going to be enough. The ground's holding enough to get us here.
Yeah.
But-
Very green. I was north of Brisbane today, a couple of hours north, and I just can't get over how green it is.
Yeah.
How high the grass is.
I'll push that a bit closer.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, even where I'm staying, I've been here a week and I'm staying just down the road here in Cleveland. Monday night I walked through the park, and whoever maintains that, hope it's one of our contractors, does a fantastic job.
It's a nice park.
I walked through again last night. I reckon the grass has grown 3 inches high.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Poor
seeing
bastard's
that.
going to have to come back again next week.
So I have already mowed my lawn twice this week, and it's already like usually if I was to do something like that, it'd be looking real nice.
Yeah.
And mate, like I just can't just
insane.
it does. It grows overnight at the moment.
I'm going to be honest. I haven't fucking mowed my lawn since Christmas.
Yeah.
No, so
Robot.
probably like 2. Yeah, I got the robot out the front. He's taking care of business out there, but out around the pool, she's fucked.
See-
I don't have time to fucking scratch my
See,
balls.
I
It's
can't
crazy.
actually put a robot on here because
Can't all be swimming.
yeah. So you know.
Yeah, maybe you can fucking.
There's an opportunity there.
Yeah, there's a bit of a
Aquabot.
fly mow. Fucking Aquabot.
I'll just start with the bare basics first and just
Yeah.
try and get an actual sale going.
Move it on through.
Um,
Yeah. So Duncan, mate, we have a few questions we normally ask, and one of them is your backstory. Like I know it,
Yep.
but probably you haven't
I don't
had as
know
much.
it.
Yeah. Fucking
I
give it to
know
us.
it.
So,
He knows it.
I know it.
Where'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up, pal?
So, Melbourne boy.
Yep.
Grew up in a little seaside village called Williamstown. Still very connected down there, 5th generation. Interestingly enough, so I was born 71, I'm 52.
Fuck, you don't look a day over 40, mate.
I haven't worked
You
hard.
could be my twin.
See, I don't work hard.
Yeah, you're doing well.
And you'll understand when you hear my backstory, because I haven't worked hard. But interestingly, in high school, when you do work experience in year 9, I think it was, I worked mowing lawns and had a great time. Did it for a couple of weeks with the local council, just general landscaping, but mowing lawns. They had me in, I don't know what they were back then, but it was a ride on some description, tractor style mower.
Wow, back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Pair
in
of
the 80s.
scissors.
Yeah, I reckon it might even had folding wings, but I was the young bloke. Old mate said jump on that and go and mow the oval, and away I went, But loved it, had a ball, and was going to be a landscaper initially.
It would have been
From
loose
years.
as back in those days too, eh?
Really?
Like,
Yeah,
like
really. Right.
bare feet.
Just, no fucking.
I'm the
Dunlop
15-year-old
volleys.
kid. Here's the keys, go and mow the lawn. It's like, yeah, that's what we did. But
I get smashed on TikTok for me girls riding a zero turn out the front.
Yeah.
You know, like bloody hell.
so I had big dreams of going into landscaping, and then I'm quite into my boats and sailing and stuff. And actually, for anyone in Melbourne, so on Port Phillip Bay, you may see that Scag sponsoring a nice boat down there at the moment that's sailing around. So keep an eye out for that. But I then decided I wanted to be a boat builder, and then I quit school in year 11 and sat on the couch for a few weeks, and Mum came out and said, I don't think you're doing that for much longer, get a job. So I picked up the local paper, and the bank was advertising for people, the National Australia Bank. So away I went, started there about a week later.
That is crazy.
And-
like, no, just let me. I don't mean to butt in, but like, you think of high school dropouts, and I was one of them. They very rarely get a job at a bank.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
So
just,
they-
just
I was cold
process that.
storage.
They
He
were
was
desperate.
on the lawns.
They were taking anyone. It was back then in the bank, so that was 89. They used to do an aptitude test, which was they'd put 40 people in a room and they'd throw a paper in front of you. It was basically a maths style question, but if you could pass it, you're in. And the intakes were huge. I joined day one with the NAB in Collins Street in Melbourne with about 100 people. It's just like, here's our intake, away we go. And half had left within a couple of months, but I hung around for 27 years in banking. But so I got into banking and mucked around for the first few years, drunk every dollar I earned, and I was on the fags and having a great time, and then decided to get semi-serious about my career. Old bloke pulled me aside and said, "Listen, you seem like you got a bit of ambition. You want to get on. Stop mucking up." And pull your head in, and it took me a bit, but I got there.
Yeah. Did you have children at this point?
Nah, it's young.
Okay.
Yeah,
See, that was. I mean, I had kids young-ish.
yeah.
BJ was even younger.
Yeah.
You were younger than me.
21.
Yeah, I was 26, but
Nah,
It-
I
it
didn't
took-
have kids till I was 35 or 6.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, got 3 now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropping bombs like it's Vietnam.
Yeah.
Well, I had 2 at once, so
Yeah, that doesn't
fuck.
help.
you got to have a special.
Yeah, you
you
should
got to have a
stop there.
special load to get that done.
See, that's what happens when you fucking hold it in.
So
No.
away I went, and then so I went back to uni. Then I didn't do year 12, but I got accepted into RMIT in Melbourne. Did business course.
Did the bank help you with that?
Yeah,
nice.
that was good back then. Yeah,
Yeah.
banks. NAB, take my hat off. I don't bank with them at the moment.
I actually do. I do all my business banking with them.
I'm with the ANZ, but
Me
you shop
too.
around.
Yep.
It's like women, you shop around.
Yeah.
So bank got me in it because
Yep.
I didn't have a VCE or whatever it was. I was more or less a mature age, just 22. Bank said, go and do this. So I did 6 years of night school, and then when I finished that, they said, keep going, go and do a master's. Because at this stage, I was progressing through the banking system, getting some good opportunities, managing people and managing small parts of the bank in Melbourne. And then, so I did an MBA, and then with the MBA, I got a scholarship, ended up going to Paris and finishing that over there. So
Wow, quite a story, eh?
yeah, can't speak a word of French, but went over there and...
I can.
I did it.
You got one up your sleeve, do you?
Je.
Fuck you. Why did you just say bonjour?
No, I just thought
Yeah,
it'd
there
be
you
funny
go.
if I made up a bunch of syllables.
Oh, you actually made that up? I thought it was
It's
a real
not
word.
No, I do know that. That's a bullshit
okay.
word.
Yeah. Remember Joey, your friends, when he thought he went for an acting role and he just started, it was like French role, and he
Yeah.
just started like just saying a bunch
Just
of shit.
making
They're
up
like,
words.
They're like, dude, that's not French. Anyway.
Close enough is good
You
enough.
just talk like a pigeon at all. So yeah, did that, and then I can keep going. I stayed in the bank for 27 years. I left NAB, but I worked at a couple other banks, and then I had a finance business called ScotPac, which
Yep.
I was a partner there, and got that opportunity, through hard work and effort. And
So when you were working your way through the banking system though, like what were your actual roles? Like, I mean, I don't know anything about banking, right?
yeah, well, one of the roles was the bank manager of International Mowers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I started in bank in '89, probably 10 years in, around 2000 to 2003 or 4, I looked after International Mowers. So I was their bank manager. At the time, they had a $500,000 trade facility. They weren't using it. They had a lot of cash. I'll tell you about International Mowers. in a
Yeah, well,
minute.
that does lead us to our next question.
In
So
a
might
minute,
as well
but-
just
but-
keep balling.
Well, they were my customer, and I'd go out there, and they had these things called Scags. I'm like, what the hell's that? And I knew nothing about mowers. Some say still don't. But they had, I'll tell you about them in a minute. They had other products as well. But the one thing that stood out to me was that it was a great business. It was well ran, had really good products. And even back then, we're talking 20 years ago now, had good support, good groundswell from their customers. They had 0 customer complaints. They ran it efficiently. They ran it well. And, I liked the business. So I was their bank manager. But beyond that, I went in. I moved to Bank West in Victoria and became the state manager of Bank West in Victoria. And then from there, became a partner at ScotPac. So I was running Victoria and South Australia for ScotPac. Had 170 people.
And what
Big
was
business.
Scott Pack then? What
They're a cash
business?
flow. They're still around.
Okay.
They started as a debtor finance company. So if you did an invoice, you could send it to them. They'd give you 80 cents in the dollar today, and then they'd collect the debt for you, and they'd keep the other 20% less a bit. They'd give you the 20%. They'd keep 2 or 3% as a charge. Yeah. So it's called factoring. It's still a big thing. It's big in England, and that's where Scottish Pacific started. But it's a good product. And here in Australia, they do trade finance as well. So what it did for me was really give me a great appreciation of funding structures and funding possibilities. How can you do this? A lot of people say, I want to go and start importing a mower or a catch pro, Well, before you sell it and get money, you've got to have to spend a hell of money to create it, buy
Yes.
it. How do you fund that?
Mum and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, wasn't even the case with me.
That's for a lot of people. But what ScotPac did for me was sharpen those cash flow management techniques and skills, and I ran that business. So I had responsibility for the P&L and 170 people. That was a great opportunity for me.
And so how long did you do that for?
I did that for about 5 years, and then we sold the business. We floated on the stock exchange, and I had to hang around for a couple of years as part of that deal. Mm-hmm. And then I decided then, I was 45, I'd just gone through a divorce. I was jack of banking and finance.
Yep.
And I thought, I've run these big businesses, I understand lending, I really should put those wheels in motion and run my own business. Quite frankly, I was sick of reporting to people.
Yep,
You
okay.
got boards and dickheads. ScotPac, we had shareholders, had to do shareholder reports. You walk down the street, someone go, don't you run that? What about the share price? What's that? I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Sick of reporting people. So I thought I want to have my own business. By that stage, I'd met Ella, my wife, and we were just getting married. So an advisor of mine, a guy called Neil Bishop out of Melbourne, he's a partner in a big accounting firm, and he was also the advisor and accountant to International Mowers.
Yeah,
still.
okay.
And a long time ago, he was the original connection. I looked after a whole heap of his affairs and a whole heap of his customers, including International Mowers. So I had lunch with him, and after a bottle of red wine or two, he said, "Why don't you buy the mower business?" And I said, "Don't know anything about mowers." I remembered it. I didn't know anything about mowers. So I said, "All right, look, I'll go out and have a look." So that's when I went out. That was start of 2018. International Mowers, I'll tell you a bit about them. They started in 88. Two blokes, a guy called Phil Keane and another guy called John Bennett. One was a Pom, one was a Kiwi. They worked...
That's a bad fucking mix right there, mate.
Yeah, and look, they don't listen to the podcast, so happy to talk about them. They didn't get along.
Yeah.
Right? These two blokes...
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
I'm only joking, by the way.
Poms and Kiwis.
Yeah. No, look, hats off to them. They created a great business and ran it for 30 years. So they were in the industry. They were working for a competitor. They left. They both up and left, and they had connections with McConnel out of England. So McConnel, for those on the podcast that don't know about the brand, make roadside stuff. They're British, very good. The yellow power arms that you see on the side.
They're
of the
like
road.
reach mowers, aren't they? First
Reach
spoon
mowers.
drains and shit like that.
Yeah,
When-
mowing rover barriers, up hills.
When you say they worked for a competitor, would that have been... We don't have to name the competitor, that's cool. But were they obviously working for some other distributor? And
They're in that space.
Yeah,
I
okay.
won't talk about it because
that's cool.
they still do exist today, but they worked for a competitor that did that too.
yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
And it was sort of like they worked in Australia for Holden, and they left and started bringing Ford into the country.
Yeah.
It was literally like that.
Yeah, okay,
And so they kicked out the door when they said they were going to do it, but they had connections at McConnel. They brought in one container. They saved up their pennies. I think they put in $100,000 to buy a container, and they brought that into Australia in '88. Literally dropped it in the street. They were on a main road in Dandenong and had to unpack it in the street. They had a little shitty forklift, they had to drag stuff out, assemble these big arms, mount them on tractors, and away they went. That was their first container in '88 in Dandenong. And then they grew from there. So they continued to do McConnel, and today we still are the largest McConnel distributor outside of Europe, England and Europe. And it's probably 30% of what we do.
Yeah, wow.
Nice.
So they make reach mowers, robotic mowers, and big, large slasher wing mowers,
Yes.
mostly for roadside application.
Yep.
And if you go over to England, they're up in the north near Wales. If you're a contractor and you just want to have a sticky beak, by all means, go over there and knock on the door. They're terrific people. They, let them know you're from Australia and you're interested in their product. They walk you through the place. It's an amazing facility. They talk about being the home of roadside maintenance and hedge clipping in Ludlow.
Oh, do they have like the hedging?
Yeah, that's
so
what they're made for.
Yeah,
Like,
okay. So you can.
England, you got the
They
lanes
just
with
go
hedges.
forever. Yeah.
That's what they do. Yeah, that's
I've
what
seen
they do.
someone pick up a mower. Remember the story about someone picking up a mower by the bottom of the deck and they lost the tips of all their fingers?
Mate, I've seen that more than once.
Yeah.
I've seen it more than once.
It's fucking. I mean, it's the same kind of concept.
Yeah, so they're in. If you watch Clarkson's Farms and that sort of
Yep,
stuff,
yep.
he's got one of their mowers. The latest Mr. Bean movie, there's one in that. So McConnell, quite a strong brand.
Yeah,
And we've got deep connections with McConnell. They love us. We get over there every 12 months. They come over here and say hello. So that's one part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
The second part that they went to was Seppi mulches out of Italy. So almost immediately they brought the first container of McConnell's in '88. They also then went to Italy and said we need a mulcher to match tractor-mounted mulcher to go with these power arms for roadside applications. And they did an agreement with Seppi mulchers then, which are out of Trento in northern Italy. And still to this day, we bring them into the country. I was today up north in Gympie delivering one up there, which is a skid steer mounted one. But they're big, powerful mulchers that will cut grass, but also, smash through trees as thick as
Yeah.
you.
Oh, I mean, you got good arms, but I think that fucking tree you saw that you showed us getting knocked down, it's a bit thicker.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
good one.
They're a fancy mulcher. So quite specialised equipment.
Yep.
And with both those products, we sell direct, but we also work with dealers. So today,
Oh, so you do sell direct?
yeah,
Okay.
those we sell direct because they are specialised, and we'll ship anywhere in the country, and then we go and install. So today we're in Gympie. Me and Ben Brown from our Brisbane office, we're up there, but we work closely with John Deere tractors, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Not everywhere, but in Gympie it's John Deere.
Yeah.
Because developing a dealer network for this stuff, it would just be impossible, right?
There's only so many ag like people out there,
Yeah, look, it's there's maybe contractors on here that run that gear.
Well, Dale Pakenham's
Yeah, so he's got a Seppi mulcher.
Yeah.
But, you can't stock it because, these power arms, there's probably, if you look through the models, about 50 different applications and options that you can have with them.
Okay.
Left, right, variable, upside down, forward, back, there are so many different applications. We bring them into the country, install them in Dandenong, and then we almost make them up as we get orders. We'll build up a machine to spec.
And is it a competitive space? This whole, because I completely don't know about this space, but is it a competitive space?
So,
or is it just super lucrative, like being? Yeah, but hey, I mean,
so when I was doing some due diligence on International Mowers,
Yep.
I had my banking and business hat on, not knowing a lot about mowing other than 2 weeks when I was in Year 9 at Williamstown Council. I looked into the space and I did quite a bit of research and spoke to quite a few people. There's no doubt that in fine cut, so golf courses, sporting grounds, race courses, that sort of stuff, very competitive. Everyone's there.
Yep.
But in roadside, there's very few. And the ones that are there are usually brands that have been around for a long, long time and trusted. For instance, McConnel Power Arm, you speak to anyone that does roadside mowing, they know what a McConnel Power Arm is. They've probably had one, they've probably got one. So in answer to that, I would say limited competition, but the competition that is there has been there for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's got pretty deep roots.
yeah. So there's just like a few sort of major players.
Yeah.
Not. Well, what I mean, look, the only reason why I'm asking is because, like, back in '88, I wouldn't have thought that there would be
Such a
any
thing.
market here
No, there wasn't.
at all.
So even
So
the
it's quite a
competition.
big gamble, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And it really just blows my mind. Like, if you think back to '88, and then you think of where we are now and how far we've come in the last decade.
Yeah.
So many contractors are only being exposed to this now.
Yeah.
But
And seeing the opportunity, like, Dale, he started, I think, by himself mowing lawns, and now he's got a big crew. He's running mulches on tractors. Who knows where the future for someone like that is? There's opportunity there, absolutely.
there's
And there's a lot
certainly-
of single blokes, like single operator blokes, just like Beach. They go and buy a tractor and a reach mower and away they go. If you've got connections with councils, roads, corporations, parks, New South Wales, Queensland, environmental groups, whatever it might be, fire break management, there's plenty of work.
Fire break management is huge.
Plenty
I
of
think,
work. And you can charge for it. It's specialised gear. It's not turn up for $60, $80 an hour. It's a couple hundred before you start.
and then you've got the robots as well, like in the arsenal, and that's like a new to the industry sort of thing. I think newish, like they've been
it's the
around
future.
for a while, but yeah, we've seen a few of those. I've broken one, but
Yeah, Beach broke one. Which is still not fixed. But, no, look, robots, so McConnell's been in robot development since sort of 2010. Robot space is becoming pretty competitive and pretty busy.
yeah, there's a Sunshine Coast guy that I follow, and he does some good content.
Yeah.
He uses another brand, but he has some good content, and it
Yeah.
looks like it's a pretty specific business. Hinterland, like. What else would you fucking use to crawl up those hills?
Oh, mate,
I
yeah.
can only imagine. Like,
Oh, look, they're
I mean, you
amazing.
could get VJ with his Bipper Dipper. I mean, you
VJ.
could, but now he can't. But
Yeah. So these are serious commercial robots. They're not your little huskies you might do your front lawn with. But we embrace the competition because they're advancing everyone. And McConnell, I would have said early days, like back in the 2017 to 20, they were probably the best robot going around. They're not now. They've dropped the ball a bit. The competition's got pretty hot. Their credit to McConnell are continuing to develop and research and get better at what they do. Right now, we've just got a whole heap of robots delivered. They're pretty fancy. We're selling quite a few of them for blokes that see the opportunity. Again, it's not for everyone, but there's probably one needed in every town.
Yeah.
So International Mowers, though, as a business, really, like, because you're in a couple of different avenues, it's like a really great 1-2 punch into the market, isn't it?
look,
Because you got all this specialised stuff happening over here, and you got all this regular stuff that can happen.
Yeah. So look, I'll talk openly about our competitors. You've got Stanley Black & Decker, even PLP, and some of the others. They're large corporates compared to us. We're essentially an importer of mowing gear that are quite diverse. And Scag, which we haven't really spoken about yet, is growing for us all the time. So, yeah, I'm not sure where we'll be in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Because as things, and even the other brands are growing quite rapidly as well. At some point, we may choose to just be a full wholesale distributor and just go with, we land it and then everyone else can, sell it and worry about it.
Yeah.
Or we may go the other way. We may decide that, we see opportunity in robotics, for instance, and go, full 100%.
And I think it's difficult to even, it's hard these days to plan too much, in advance, because in our industry, if you take a look at this small robot space, like 18 months ago, there was like 1 or 2 brands. Now it's actually becoming saturated.
Yeah.
If you have a look at battery OPE, there's more of it than what there has ever been anywhere. Like you got all of your power tool brands, and then you have all of your, big time guys that are getting amongst it. And it is completely saturated.
It happens so quick.
Zero turns, though, in a way, because so many other companies are being dissolved or, bought out and, things like that, there's actually less competition. I still think no matter what, for anyone that was, I think that there was a new brand that came out, the GIE, Yakta Mowers. And there was all this hype. I'm not dissing them, by the way. But there's all this hype and, they did the right thing. Like they reached out to all the influencers to get feedback and, do all this stuff. But like with a zero turn, what are you really going to do next? They've all got a seat. They've all got a way to steer them. You know what I mean? Like but being, in this, roadside and other stuff, because those deep connections you're talking about, like that loyalty and that business model that's worked for that long, it's easy to just continue it.
Marketing 101 is 2 options. You can sell more customers, more products to the same customers. So if you've got roadside, we could go into traffic management. They all need traffic management. It's a big problem for them. They've got reach mowers, they've got a crew that do that, but then they have to go and find old mate that can do all the traffic for them, and it's dear. So, we could sell more products into that space. Or you just sell your products into other spaces. So you say with Seppi mulches, you go to a big tractor company and say, let's partner. Let's put a mulcher in every one of your Massey Ferguson dealerships in Australia. It's huge. The opportunity is significant. Or you say, screw that, we're going to stick with zero turns and go hard in that space and look at some more outdoor power equipment. Maybe we need some handheld gear. We certainly need some battery gear. We've got the distribution. We're distributing to 80 plus dealers daily anyway. Let's throw another product at them.
Yeah, I mean, the ceiling's pretty high, hey, really. Like, there is so much opportunity there. And especially once you start getting bigger, then those opportunities, are easy to grab.
I could only imagine the opportunities back in 88, though.
Those boys did a great job. So they ran the business from 88 to 2018. One of them had retired by then. The other one was still running it, but he was ready to move on.
I bet he was the Kiwi dude who retired early.
No.
There you go. Get some fucking hate from all the Kiwi dudes.
No. Hey.
John was English. He was a bit older, so he'd retired 6 years before or something.
Okay.
But was still actively involved, but just not daily. The Kiwi had worked hard, and I get along with both boys very well, even to this day. I spoke to him yesterday. But
so they would have secured the original Scag deal?
Yeah. So, just before that. So we came along in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
The old bank manager turned up. Noel said, go and have a chat to him. And they were like, yeah, we want to sell. They didn't openly put it on the market. They'd built this business from nothing. They had great branding, great presence, great people and great customers. And the last thing they wanted to do is have that all broken up because the brands were strong. A tractor dealer could have bought us, pissed everyone off, taken a brand, fantastic. Yeah. They wanted to keep what they did. So they were just sort of had it on the market in the industry, but sort of by stealth a little bit. So I came along, bank manager, knowing nothing about machinery or mowers or anything really, but had a bit of a business head. Anyway, so we started talking and we did a deal. So I agreed to buy the business, agreed to do a 6 monthly handover. 3 months into it, I said to old mate, you might as well finish up. I think we're good. So away we went.
That's positive. Like
yeah.
if you can push someone out
he was
3
ready.
months, yeah.
It started knocking off.
But were they being
I got something on the Savo.
Yeah, I got golf.
were they being protective of it, even though that you were the buyer? It's like, hey, do it this way, or don't piss this dude off. Or,
They were great.
They
were
gave
great.
you the right, like they just said,
Day one.
yeah,
I
nice.
walked in and he said, righto, come and sit on this side of the desk because I'm sitting on that side. Come and sit on this side of the desk. Day one. And then they were fantastic. They're old school. They taught me, this is how we buy it. So with the Scag, we send a purchase order, we book the freight. When it comes in, this is how we land it. This is the cost, how we book it into our system. We then sell it through dealers.
do you have to book the freight then?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll run you through the model because it's interesting. And I'm more business than I am a mower, right? So I'm a mower guy. So I'm happy to bore everyone with this. But for those listening that are small, got their own businesses or partnerships or, with their wives or partners running the business, I think it's interesting. Now, if you ever want to talk to me about it, by all means, give me a call. I'm happy to chat to anyone. So with Scag, those boys signed that deal up back early 90s. So 5 years into the whole 88 arrangement, they'd been doing roadside stuff. They got a lead through McConnel to chat to someone at Scag.
Wow.
They wanted to put a zero turn into the Australian market just to help complement what they did. They were dealing with, again, new product, same customers. They were dealing with people that were roadside mowing. So they started bringing in Scags. Back then, anyone that knows the old Scags, it's like a mower with a chassis rod, and then you sat on a little chassis, a little buggy.
Yeah, it was like a little bike.
Yeah,
with
bike.
with a blade set on the front.
Yeah.
It looked dangerous as fuck, but
Little
cool.
buggy.
It looked like it'd be fun.
Does anyone know how old the Scag brand would have actually been back then in the 90s?
It was
Like,
83 it started.
83 it started. But it was Great Dane before that, hey?
No, after. So,
Okay.
all
All right, no,
I'll tell
I'm not
you
going to
about
butt in
that.
anymore.
So Scag was a bloke called
Dane
Scag.
Scag.
Right? And Dane Scag was a bit of a doyen of the industry, worked for some other brands prior to having his own brand, but he was getting a company called Metalcraft to make the decks. They were welding up the decks. They were an engineering company. Dane Scag was, the guy behind Scag. At some point,
What a cool last name, eh?
yeah, everyone goes, Scag, that's heroin, right? Yeah. Maybe in your space. So Metalcraft were making the decks for him. Dane Scag went broke, and Metalcraft took over the Scag brand. They were making the decks. They knew it was a great model. They were an engineering company. They actually used to make luggage a long time ago.
Fuck.
Metalcraft.
They're diverse now. Fucking you think it's weird what they used to do. You should see what they do now.
So Metalcraft's been around, I think, 70 years, but they've been doing Scag for 40.
Yep.
So they took it over, and they still, to this day, privately owned family company, Metalcraft. They make Scag. They make other componentry. They make componentry for the military. They make the gun turrets on the big Humvees over for the US military. They make Caterpillar and John Deere fuel tanks and wheel, what do you call them, like fenders and that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like you
heavy
think
duty
like,
steel.
fuel tank, fuck man, that stuff is so involved, like so much more involved than I ever thought. They also have the big loaders, the big truck.
Oh, yeah. So the retrievers,
They're huge.
So they make,
Versatrans.
And Metalcraft doesn't, though, I know you mentioned they do the fuel tanks and stuff for John Deere, but they don't do any other components for any other like major competitors.
Nah.
Because you do see that out there. Like
Yeah,
you see, like one mob, you'll see a zero turn and it'll be like exactly the same deck as somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's just that they've got...
Nah, not at all.
Yeah.
They're a very private company. So, they don't make anything for competitors. If anything, they embrace competition, but where they can, they'll do what they can to beat the competition. They're pretty...
Well, you got to, I think.
Like
I
the
mean,
fuel
all this,
tanks, the
all
fuel
this
tanks-
nice stuff that people do talk about.
Yeah.
I I mean, whatever happened to them good old days of like fucking stomping out that competition?
Kick him in the nuts.
You
So,
know?
the
I
fuel-
mean, I'm not talking about dirty tactics. Though.
No.
I'm
Fuel
talking
tanks-
about. I'm talking about
Like the passion to-
Sales.
yeah,
the sales.
Yeah,
like,
the blow plastic moulding that makes all the fuel tanks was a company that was making for various zero-turn manufacturers, and everyone had supply issues during COVID. So Scag went and bought the company.
yeah.
Said, you know what? You're supplying bit to me, bit to him, bit to them. We'll just buy you, and you'll make them all for us.
Wow.
So that's what they did. And call it arrogant, call it smart, but that's what they did. And some of the zero-turn brands that we compete with here in the Australian market had to go and find another provider for those tanks.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And that's just one example. But they are. I don't want to give the wrong impression. They're fantastic people, family owned, privately owned. We go over there, beach being there. You sit down with the CEO, you have a beer with him.
Yep.
Have a dance on the dance floor with them. They're just great people.
The way that I've researched the Metalcraft family values and stuff is they take their a lot of the people that a lot of women work in Metalcraft doing the assembly and stuff because it's all farmland, like in
cornfields.
It's just fucking miles and miles of just farmlands, and all the husbands work on the farm, and they don't get like what is it? They get
Medical
like the
benefits in
medical
the
benefit.
US,
You know how
you know,
they get that medical insurance
You've got to have
shit.
a job
and
to get Medicare.
so,
okay.
so the wife will go and work for Metalcraft, and Metalcraft will take care of all their family's medical needs. They also do things like fucking Taco Tuesday, like they feed them. It's fucking cool, man.
So
it's not.
in
I've
COVID,
worked in,
they, so they're in 5.
Do you do Taco
manufacturers.
Tuesday at International Mowers?
We don't.
4X varieties over here.
Not 4X. Anyway, so in COVID, they went to the local restaurants because they were all struggling, most of them were shut. And they went into Mayville and they said to the taco guy, right, we want to help you out. On Tuesday, we want you to come into our factory and cook tacos for everyone.
Wow.
And then the next week, they went to the bloke that does hamburgers and said, it's your week this week, then hot dogs this week. So they started that in COVID, and they still do it now.
Yeah.
I'm on the email distribution list. This week's hot dog week.
Yeah, I looked at the job opportunities. I was like, fuck, I wouldn't mind a few
All
hot
the boys
dogs.
at International Mowers, like, what? We're doing tacos?
Oh, did you just play footsies with me?
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
Oh, pre-cum.
So anyway, they started bringing in Scag, and I don't want to digress. I'll knock it over as quick as I can. So they started bringing them in early 90s, and they were selling them through their existing customer base roadside contracts. A few dealers came on board back then because they could see that opportunity, but it probably wasn't until about 2012 that they really started to turn the dealer tap on.
Okay.
So they ran it for 15 years selling direct, like we do with everything else.
Yep.
And then they started to turn dealers on. Dealers are hard to get, like people say, I've been up here in Brisbane all week. We're just kicking tyres, seeing what's possible. Everyone's already committed, and unless you're starting up fresh and you say, shit, I want to do a Scag, well, it's hard for us to get in there.
You know what, Duncan? Like, I don't want to diss the dealers too hard, right? But they're just, it's not, like I went through it all myself, right? It's simply like once the consumer, once there's a demand from the consumer, then the dealers get amongst it.
Yeah.
That none of them take a risk.
Yeah, and look,
Because
hats off.
They'll say, oh, we got Ferris or we got this or we got whatever. I'm
Yeah.
just using brands as examples.
Yeah.
And if that situation is working for them, fine.
Yeah.
And look, I understand it. It's not easy to just take on another brand, whether it's got a good reputation or not. It's not easy, but it's just, like I will never forget the amount of calls and something like 4,000 emails that I know that the Catch Pro is a completely different product than something that, has, a lot of credibility overseas and everything like that, like Scag. But I'll never ever forget the way that everyone ignored me and then even put shit on me, like it's one thing to decline. It's another thing to just be like,
Yeah, I know.
what the fuck,
Yeah.
And I even know just from dealers that I've dealt with where I've tried to say like, oh, why don't you get this or why don't you get that? They just put it in the too hard pile, mate.
Yeah, they do.
That's all it is.
They do.
In
And-
saying that, there'd be some dirty tactics out there, like no brand dropping, but there'd be people saying if you fucking get that, we're dropping you.
Absolutely.
We're
It's
pulling
an
the pin on you, and that's fucking it's business. And
It is
like
business.
you said, like get a bit of mongrel into you, But I think to sort of like
They
put
just have to
the
know-
industry in a headlock,
They
like
just have to know their market. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah.
Like I've always said that certain brands complement other brands, and I'll even give you an example. And I don't know how true this story is, but I believed it to be true. But when Rob Shearer initially started to grow the dealer network,
Yeah.
he said, "What's the easiest way to do this?" And he just picked the brand Husqvarna. I'm going to approach every single Husqvarna dealer. And because they're big in the tractor space, big in the handheld space, and I'm going to approach every single Husqvarna dealer and ask them if they would like to carry Scag as a brand.
Yep.
And I just think like that, number one, if he was winging it with the brands, he chose a great brand
Yeah.
because zero turns, you can't really compare the product.
Yep.
But I've always said that certain brands complement others. Like, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for, say, a bushranger dealer to necessarily have a Scag
Yep.
dealership
Grover.
as well, because
Yep.
those two zero-turn machines are going to be competing head-to-head in every customer.
Yep.
But if you got a Cub Cadet,
Oh, it's
and I'm not
complementary.
talking about their new commercial line, whatever,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know, like those, they complement each other.
Yeah.
And
In
there's
saying that-
space in a market and in a town for both of those brands to succeed.
well, in saying that, like I use all bushranger hand tools. Like everything we run now is all bushranger. But then I'm fucking 100%. My balls are on a Scag every day.
Yep.
So I
Oh,
mean,
mate,
like,
look.
it's horses for courses. I think
It is.
Yeah, look,
it would be
it's
difficult.
complementary.
Yeah,
Husqvarna is a great brand. We've got some great Husqvarna dealers that also sell Scag. But we've also got some great steel. We've got some great bushranger, you know, a lot of outdoor power equipment. Let's face it, outdoor power equipment's what bring people into shops.
Yep.
Not mowers. Yes, there's a few contractors probably listening to this that say, I go into a shop to, you know, when I want to buy a mower. But your average garden variety blokes, they're going in to buy a whippersnipper or a blower or something, chainsaw, and then they see something on the floor and go, shit, that's a fucking nice looking mower. So that's sort of what we've leveraged off. In terms of building our network, we've got about 80 dealers at the moment, which is a lot fewer than a lot of our competitors. Some of the brands we talk about have got 150 or more. We probably see ourselves growing that footprint to about 120. But we are very loyal to our dealers. Like we spoke to one here in Brisbane the other day, he's very keen to take on Scag. But he's around the corner from an existing dealer that's been selling mowers for us for 15 years. So we're not about to go and say, sorry, mate, we're going to drop you because old mate wants to pick it up. You've been loyal to us for 15 years. Now, he doesn't probably sell enough in our eyes.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But you know what? He's been loyal to us. We've been loyal to him. There's lots of other places that we can knock on the door and try and put our product. So in terms of growing it, Rob Shearer, who no longer works with us, but we're still great, you know, close friends and mates. And, you know, he did a lot. We did a lot for each other in terms of growing the business. But he said to me when we bought it in 2018, if we can crack the contractor market, you know, get ready, hold on. And I remember when he said it, we were at a farm show up in Orange, and we were just talking generally about the brand over a beer one night, and he said, if we can crack into this contractor space, look out. And in terms of growing it, you know, hats off to him and to all the contractors that follow our brand. We've been able to do it. We're still not probably where we want to be, but we've got a great following.
Was Rob Shearer there when you bought it?
Yeah.
Oh, he was
he
there.
was already
So-
there.
Yeah, he started about 2016. We bought it 2018, so he'd been there a couple of years. And in terms of matching ourselves with dealers, what we actually did was go to contractors. So we went to BJ and said, where do you want to get your mower serviced? If you wanted to buy a Scag, where would you go? Where do you buy your outdoor power equipment? And that's where we got onto dealerships. Will at Rosebud, you know, he was looking at one of the other brands, and Rob just happened to walk in there, knock on the door. I think we'd got a referral to go and have a chat to him. Apparently this bloke does a lot of gear down the peninsula, and away we went. So he's just one example of probably...
What was he, 22 Dealer of the Year?
He's had it
So he
twice.
keeps reminding me.
Yeah, he won't let
one
that
slip
go.
through. No. So, yeah, he sells a lot of product, but, you know, more than that, Will's fantastic.
And
in
his
terms of
passion.
His tech
Like,
support.
Yeah, his tech support, his passion is crazy. He's, yeah.
Quick little
committed
shout
to-
out. Quick little shout out because today
We're all
I received a little present in the mail from Nicole and Will from Mower Merch. Check this out now.
Woo-woo.
This is actually courtesy of our good friend Turtle.
Nice.
So, thanks, Turtle. Unfortunately, mate, it's too fucking hot in Brisbane to wear a t-shirt at the moment. So,
Although,
I just
look at
use
me
it as a cum rag
on
at
the
moment.
I'm going to smell it before I leave.
Only joking. I only got it today.
Like I'm the fat one, but look at how short my shorts are. My nuts are almost hanging out of these bad boys. I picked up some ruggers.
My kids are home.
Sorry about that. I can't hear them, so thanks, headphones.
Yeah, I locked them up.
Yeah, so we grew that network. We're out to, when Rob and I really put our mind to growing it back, he was already on the journey, but, when I came along, the business needed a bit of energy and oxygen. The old blokes that had it were just a bit tired. They'd done a great job for 30 years, but they were ready to, pull up stumps. So we gave it a bit of energy and oxygen, together worked with Rob, and he did a mile of work to get it to where it is now. We went, tapped on the door of dealers and away we went. And it's what's grown Scag is not mum and dad's. It's contractors.
Yeah.
Contractors that love our gear, got a passion for it.
Well, I mean, I wanted to talk about the growth of Scag because, look, I was a contractor for 20 years, and I first learnt about Scag through the US market.
Yeah.
And it was in fact, I believe, this is just my own personal story, I believe exactly when I learnt about it must have been very, very close to the time that you bought it.
Yeah, it was.
And I'd never really heard of Scag in Australia at all before. But when I did my research, and it was just YouTube, mate,
Blogs.
I mean, yeah, it just blew my mind that there was such a prominent brand out there that was a major player.
It was underrepresented in Australia for a long time.
Big time.
And even that though, so Scag's, I don't know how you want to measure it, in the top 3 commercial zero turns in the US market.
I would agree.
And if you look at volume, it's significant, massive.
Who would you say are their competitors in the US, like Toro Ferris?
Yeah.
You would agree or no?
Yeah, definitely Toro. Look, they all
I think
come and go.
everyone's a competitor.
Hustler was big for a while there. Probably not as big
It's
as it
very
was.
regional. Like we've talked about it before, being like,
I did my
where the
research.
factories.
I did my research into that, and
Gravely's there.
I looked at a brand, say Hustler, for example, that was so big in Australia, like a couple of years ago, so big. And so I was like, well, what sort of credibility do they have in the US?
Yeah.
And from what I understand, they're like super duper strong in just certain regions and markets.
Yeah.
And then you might go somewhere else, say down south,
Yeah.
and
They're not
no
there.
one uses them.
Well, it's a lot to do with the distribution footprint that they've got in the US market. Scag's got 6 distributors like me in the US that all buy in bulk and sell through dealerships.
See, I didn't realise that was the business model. I mean, it obviously makes sense to me now, but I thought that the way that they worked was that the manufacturers were the distributors as well.
Maybe
And some
in
of them probably
instances,
are, right?
Yeah, maybe, but not Scag, but maybe absolutely.
And I assume that when, say, a brand like Hustler or, even Scag at one time, they probably were their main distribution channel at one point. And that's why they're so big in certain markets.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously easier to get business closer to home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you get that following, they sponsor events.
Well, you can say if you're from Mill or Wisconsin or whatever, you can say proudly rah 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 and manufactured here,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
everyone just gets amongst that.
It's strange too. Like had the pleasure of meeting a bunch of distributors when we were at the GIE 2 years ago, and everyone is like a like-minded person.
Yeah.
It's odd. Like even though we're worlds apart, everyone was just like chatting the same and
This
like
Scag family's a
yeah,
thing.
yeah. That's the thing.
it's-
Like a lot of people probably put shit on it, but it is actually a thing. Like a very select group of like-minded people doing the same thing, loving the same thing. So
A question that you might not know the answer to though, but if the manufacturers, you said they have 6 major distributors.
Yeah.
Do they have guidelines with those distributors? Like, okay, if you're in
Geographies? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
quite strict.
Yep.
So
No, that's what I would have thought. If you couldn't have
yeah.
two in one
Yeah.
major state or
Yeah,
something.
so they key local markets or something they call it, but it's a key geography. And some are split by states and some are split by roads.
Okay.
On that
Yep.
side of the road it's him, and this side of the road it's me.
Like
And you
Bloods,
go-
like Bloods and Crips, ABJ.
Dude, it is yeah, pretty much. It's so weird over there. Like we're cruising through fucking cornfields, and then all of a sudden you'll pop out of these cornfields. There'll be a shop on the side of the road, and the shop is closed, but there's like 30 mowers just outside.
Outside.
Just outside.
She'll be right.
Like should be right. Imagine that here. That'd be fucking gone. I saw at one of the big box stores, someone was trying to pick one up and put it into the back of a fucking
Oh
sedan.
man, one of the best compliments that I ever got was that someone racked a Catch Pro.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, Bunty ended up with it.
Oh, from the dump.
Someone,
from the dump?
I don't know. I can't remember if they racked it from the dump or if they racked it from a job. But that I was really flattered when I when I heard that. I felt really bad for the dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, sorry, man, but I'm real stoked right now. Hey.
Yeah. Good enough to
People
steal.
rack it.
So
Crime Stoppers.
I can't remember where we were at.
No, so
distributors.
distribution over there. And look, they're huge. So we are the biggest Scag distributor outside of America now.
We trump fucking Europe. Yeah, boy.
We got 'em beach. Anyway, but I'm nothing compared to the US. So,
Oh, yeah, I mean-
we're mates with the Texas Outdoor Power that distributes just for Texas. He does 10 times what I do.
Is that a distributor or a dealer?
Distributor.
Oh, because
And he's probably only got 200 dealers. You know, I've got 80 across all of Australia. He's got 200 in Texas. But every dealer takes 30 machines,
oh mate,
you know, on their floor. That's
Yeah.
the difference. So
Oh, I mean,
they're doing
even
200
the-
to 300 a year.
Yeah.
And they're putting 30 on the floor at a time.
yeah, crazy. I've seen it. Like I just as a consumer, it must be so awesome.
Yeah.
To just be able to cruise around the states and just to see a complete lineup of like 3 brands.
You got every
There is no shop that I've ever been to that comes close to what they have. Like Danny's is awesome. He's got fucking heaps of brands, but his storefront is quite small. But these guys have like fucking showrooms, like glass.
Oh, I've seen.
fucking
like
things.
a car dealership.
Yeah, like a car, like it's like a car dealership. Like you want to go in there and have a browse. Like I bet you like one of the things that I've always wanted is to walk into fucking slick aircon, go for a wander, look at the nice machines, and then walk out with some trimmer cord or something. But I've done my shopping. I've done my window shopping.
I mean, I remember watching, Brian's lawn maintenance, and he goes down to his local dealer and he gives them a plug, like he films it and everything.
Yeah.
And mate, like they've got, I think they're like an ex-Mark or Toro dealer or something, but they've got like just every single machine. They got the new
it's
machines. Then they got all these different types of backpack blowers. Like you could
just walls, and they're always so neat and just full.
Yeah, there's a market there in Australia. Yeah, we're not as big, but these superstore places, why not? I would go with,
the
like
actual
if-
mower superstore. I think they're in Brendale.
Brendo.
I haven't
They-
been there, but I know.
They
of them,
kind of
yeah.
blew me away, eh?
Yeah.
They do. They're right in the ATV and
Yep.
UTVs or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Kind of blew me away when I first walked in there, and I was like, oh man, you're only buying one Catch Pro. You can easily afford 10.
Yeah, we're having a lot of success with motorbike and side by side deals.
Yeah, I actually noticed that too. Like we get random phone calls or emails from your dealerships. And they'll just be like a Harley dealer or something, and they're like, "Oh, can we get a Catch Pro?" And I was like,
We've got a handful of
what
CF Moto.
brand?
Yeah, CF Moto and Kawasaki dealers around the country. We've got a handful that move quite a lot of mowers because it's sort of complementary. You're doing mowers and dirt bikes in the winter, dirt bikes and side by sides in the winter, and mowers in the summer.
Yeah, it's
And-
funny
and-
actually. 2 brands in Australia that seem to go hand in hand with like those motorcycle shops. It's you guys and Bad Boy Mowers, believe it or not.
Really?
But that's because they've had really poor distribution. So
Yeah. But in saying that too, like the biggest problem I see with dealerships at the moment is mechanics.
Yeah.
Like there's always a backlog when there was fucking shit hit the fan and all this unexpected rain happened. People weren't on top of their maintenance and they didn't think they had to be. I spoke to an awesome contractor today and he was like, I was not prepared. And to be honest, neither was I. Like, I don't think a lot of people, and even with Catch Pro, I don't think you were prepared to
No, I
fucking
fucked up
do the
every,
volume.
Every single thing that I was in charge in, I fucked up.
Yeah, and I don't. Were you guys the same? Like,
Ordering,
did you expect we all expected to be fucking sitting with our feet up and looking for
season.
other avenues of income. I
Yeah.
mean, not so much down your way, but more up here. Like we.
Well, we do. We're Australian distributors, so
Yeah.
we see it all. But we're probably 30% down pre-Christmas on last year.
yeah, so that was,
and we're still making money at that, but it's not fun.
But it's your
times.
forecast that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm committed to Scag. I've got containers on the water. They're coming.
Yeah.
No matter if it rains here or not.
Yeah.
So we were getting a bit nervous, and then we had our biggest January ever. And
Yeah.
even through COVID, which is not normal, the volumes and activity that we saw through that period is just not normal, and perhaps will never be seen again. But January is our biggest January ever, which is closed out Feb. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and the
So
same.
we're back to where we need to be.
Like I had said to myself and other distributors in the industry that we were all saying like we're never going to see those COVID numbers again, and that was like for them they were already established businesses, so they saw huge growth. For Catch Pro, we weren't established, so that growth that got us established, and then we kind of had this 23 period where it's like, look, we're doing good, but like we just don't know if we're going to get rah. Anyway, then Christmas came and I mean we're just blowing those COVID numbers completely out of the water, and it's just it's excellent, and you definitely don't want to go back, but it does make your forecast difficult. It's like, well, should I go out and buy?
It's like the weather's honey dicking you.
Like, should I buy 1,000 catches right now? I don't know. Like, I kind of need them based off my last
off
quarter.
your run rate. Absolutely.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
but
Look,
if it doesn't rain again, then
Well, a couple of things have happened. Yes, rain, we're a rain-dependent business, but we also, on the other part of the business with mulching and roadside stuff, do well in droughts, fire prevention, that sort of thing. So we, as a business, we're pretty well balanced and spread. But in terms of this audience, rain helps. The other thing I'd say is, with my banking and economics hat on, everyone's mortgage went up $800,000 a week or a month. Depends on how big your debt was, right?
oh man, mine.
It is ridiculous. So what happened? People, it takes a while to sink in, and it was doom and gloom. You turn the news on, they're talking about more interest rate rises, blah blah blah. I think what's happened is, as we got towards Christmas, that sort of stopped, and the government's, believe it or not, they're talking about interest rate cuts. But not only that, people have got into the rhythm now of, that's my mortgage payment, and I can make it. So maybe I have got a bit spare that I can now start spending on some outdoor power equipment. Maybe they do upgrade the mower. Interest rates aren't actually going to get any worse. I'll borrow some money. So I think we're in that period now too. And that's helpful for everyone.
And I think you're right. I think, look, me from even just a personal standpoint, like I never paid attention to it. It was all, Vicky and stuff, but she'd keep me updated and say like, I think there's going to be a pause or at least no rise this month. And it was like, fuck.
It's not even the payment that you have to pay back. It's the fact that fuck all comes off your principal.
Yeah.
If I was paying, $1,200 to them and I was getting like, $700 off my principal, I'd be like, you can have that fucking, you can have that $400, whatever. But like paying like fucking $5,000 and getting $800 off your principal, it's kind of like, hey, fuck you. Whose pocket's that going into? It's not mine. Like it's not, fucking NAB.
We bought it an awful time, AB.
Dude, we really did.
I bought a smack
Well, you're in
house.
the market now, though.
I bought a smack house that floods and now I've got to pay double for it? Motherfuckers.
I think, that goes hand in hand with consumer sentiment. So your house prices are going up, believe it or not. They are. So, you're paying your interest, you're sucking it up. But your house price goes up. And when your house price goes up, you feel a bit better about things. You go on a holiday.
Yeah.
You buy the new car, get a new Scag.
Get a new Ram truck.
Yeah.
Go get fucked.
So, if I had a crystal ball, I'd say to the government, the economics guys, leave it as it is for now. Like, let's get 12 months under our belt. It's been a tough 3-4 years for a lot of people. Let's get 12 months under our belt with the current economic conditions. Don't touch the interest rates. Keep prices where they are for everything. Let's just get used to what is now the norm and get back to normal.
Maybe fucking Coles and Woolies can pull back a bit because I'm sick of paying fucking $42 for a box of Magnums.
Yeah, but you know what? It's funny
That's
we
my
say
fucking
that.
treat.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny we say that, right? But at the end of the day, like, they're just running a business like everyone else.
Yeah.
And if you can get it, you know, like that's
Look,
you know,
if they paid decent amounts, I wouldn't have such a problem. Like, say, to farmers and shit like that. But they just fucking gouge everyone. Like, they're filling
that's
their
what I
pockets
mean,
from
man.
us.
It's business.
Yeah.
But where does it stop? Like, to the point where people can't afford, you know, like, I could only imagine what being a pensioner would be like right now. If your grocery bill's gone up 10%, you're only just making it through before.
Yeah.
Then you're really having to fucking pull back on anything. No more fucking lamb choppies. No more little bits and
Magnums?
pieces. Yeah, no more Magnums. I'm losing weight, mate.
No, it's bullshit.
I love those little treats, eh?
Fucking love a Magnum,
I'm
eh?
a sucker for them, eh?
Magnum boy.
Yeah.
Almond Magnum on the weekend.
So I just want to talk a little bit about contractor like engagement. You know,
Yeah.
this LMCA community, this social media community. You know, obviously, this can work. You know, two ways. Like it's obviously, man, it can make or break. Like it can blow up a brand.
Yeah.
But it does work sometimes in a downside. And Scag has been one of those brands that I think if there was one brand in Australia that really was like that social media was responsible for, it's just got to be Scag. Like no one talked about it. Even when some people started to go on social media talking about it, people were still like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
And then, you know, all of a sudden you've got all of this contractor engagement, you know, then they turn into consumers, then they, you know, tell their friends. How has that impacted, you know, International Mowers?
Massively. You can't measure it. And, you know, we've been very successful. I don't, for one moment, take, you know, the credit for that. There's a number of other people in the business. We're only a small business, only 12.
Yeah.
It's only 12 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And a handful of those are on Scag. Everyone else is on the other products. But, you know, Rob worked hard at it. He and I were sitting on the aeroplane coming home from GIE when we came up with Scag Down Under and Scag Australia. I was of the opinion, so when we bought the business, the strategy, and still to this day, the strategy is let's just get better at what we do with our current brands before we do other stuff. I got approached last week about a big excavator shears business that cuts trees and tips them over and yeah, sexy stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a diversion from getting better at what we do with Scag and the other brands. So
I could totally relate to it because,
you'd see it, yeah.
like, we don't have the capacity to do some of this really awesome stuff. But even simple stuff, sometimes we look at it and go like, I mean, look, initially it was always about just get more products because then you get more eyeballs,
Yeah.
you know, and then someone's like, oh, whipper gripper, and it's like, oh, fuck, I might get a pair of boots, or, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you get to a certain point where it's like, okay, is my focus coming away from the Catch Pro grass catcher now?
Yep.
Like, are we all of a sudden, you know, we're in this and that and that and that, but we're not making the Catch Pro any better, or we're not listening, or, you know, whatever it is. So I understand that 100%.
Yeah, so we literally came, sitting on the plane coming home from GIE. We're taking our lead from the US. So they've got Scag Nation over there, Scag Power Equipment, you know, they've got ambassadors, bloggers.
Hey,
you know.
let's fucking...
I'll get to you in a minute, big guy.
We'll say
So-
that they were not the first ones with
were not.
ambassadors.
No, they
They were not.
weren't.
I'll get to him in a minute. So we came up with that, and then somebody bought a Scag and posted it, and Rob just says, welcome to the Scag family, which was just a bit of a play on words sort of thing. And bang, it went viral. And, you know, all of a sudden this Scag family thing's become real. Then he comes into my office and says, there's this bloke called BJ that we should get. He loves our product. He's got one. Let's make him an ambassador. I'm like, what? An ambassador? Like, what do we need? You know, is he a Kardashian? Like, what is it that this BJ is all about?
He's got a booty like one, man.
Like big ass and big titties, so...
Anyway,
And
so
he does.
it was a revelation.
He also has sex tapes as well. So kind of,
We met Beej, and terrific bloke, but just so passionate about what he does and our product. Well, this is a no-brainer for us. Let's do it. So we get approached by others, more, particularly recently, to become ambassadors. But, you know, we don't need anyone else. We engage on our social media as best we can. quite often someone will ask a question, and we've got such a strong Scag family of contractors and beach and dealers that they're answering the question before I can even pick it up, or before any of our guys can pick it up. So what's the secret? I don't know, other than just engagement and not bullshit. Don't push your product. Just answer the question. If we have a problem with belts breaking, we've got a problem with belts breaking. Let's tell people about it.
Yeah, I agree.
The amount of personal phone numbers that get posted by, people in the Scag,
We haven't got a problem with belts breaking.
But yeah, like everybody is like, here's my number. Call me.
I feel so sorry for Will because I get asked questions as well.
Yeah.
And, when I was an operator, it was much easier for me to answer those questions. I have a Scag still now. No one can see it on film. But, I use it for 30 minutes a week now. And some of these, and I always just go, contact Will from running. I feel so sorry for him. But he takes all the phone calls.
Yeah,
and
he
does.
He fucking talks to me. I'm such a goober. I ordered, because I got a big heavy duty fucking Milwaukee rattle gun and I kind of stripped a bolt. So I grabbed a new bolt for the deck. And I had to message him. I'm like, wait, can you check that I ordered the right thing? And he's like, just send me a thumbs up. He's like, yeah, it's right.
You're good.
He's a good man.
No,
So
yeah,
look,
he's very
we
committed.
don't have rules around the social media per se, but we all sort of beat to the same drum. So we don't bag competition. We try and answer the question as honestly and directly and professionally as we can. We all scratch each other's back. If somebody gets picked on social media, then we'll all gang up. We'll support our people. So if somebody says something that's not appropriate, we'll jump on it and take it down as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I don't know what the story is, but I think maybe the answer is we're a small business, and I'm the owner, and BJ talks to me, and together we make decisions. We're not a big corporate with a marketing department.
If I had to put it down to a couple of things, I would say great product first and foremost, because anyone can say whatever they want, but when you break down the specs and when you look at the history of Scag in America, no one can they can have their opinion. They can be like, I don't want to be a part of the Scag family, or I don't want to be a fanboy. Like, you hear that shit, right? But it doesn't matter about anything else. If you've got that credibility and it's a good product, they're your first main things. So that I know that's what got me, because I was not a bandwagoner by any means. But then I would have to say then BJ, because you've got someone who was a genuine consumer of the product and who is putting their hand up and saying, almost essentially, I'm taking responsibility for this product.
Yeah.
If you're a contractor and you reach out to me for advice and I tell you, mate, if they want a 36 Liberty or whatever it is, get this is the breakdown, this is going to be perfect for your situation. And you know what? It's almost like saying, if you have a problem with it, you can kick me in the fucking balls when we're done.
Yeah.
Or, you could go on, because let's face it, if someone, let's say it wasn't a very good brand, and you had someone that was doing that, they get called out publicly.
Yeah.
And you don't see it. Everyone that gets one is satisfied with that purchase and satisfied with everything else that they've. So they're your main factors, I think.
The challenge is for us keeping it up.
It's hard, man. It's
hard.
It's
It's
easy
constant.
to build. It's hard to maintain. I've always said it.
Yeah.
It's
It's
really
it's the pace. Like the pace is fast.
Yeah.
Like you got to be fucking on fire. Like, today I finished at 3:30. Fucking jumped in the shower, kissed my kids, kissed my wife. Fucking straight here. Podcast.
You kiss
go
your
home.
wife?
Yeah. Fucking open mouth. But yesterday was the same. Day before that, and Duncan caught up with me. He's like, "How much fucking mowing are you doing?" I'm like, "All of it." Like I fucking love it. Like I
caught up with him down Manly on the foreshore. You're on the tools. You're on the tools every day, Beach. Yeah, loves it.
I do. I love it. I go out of my way to keep the mowing jobs for myself, no matter how much it fucking burns me. It completely cooks me. But I love it. I love using my machines. I fucking, I'll do 30 hours a week. I don't care. As long as I'm on a Scag, I'm fine. So That's, you know, I do have, you know, some people probably call me a fuckwit, and I don't care because I am passionate about it. My business has grown from being just me, chilling out by myself, got my Scags, and fucking boom. Like, I haven't got a million people behind me. Like, I don't have a huge business, but it's quite a lucrative business, and I see the success, and, you know, I put it down to the equipment I use and the people that are with me at the moment. So, you know.
And back to the contractor engagement, like I see, you know, a couple of major brands in the Australian market that have the same or similar.
Yep.
And look, it's, you know, it's probably a tactic. And there's other brands that completely don't engage at all. But and those brands, like I'm just going to list them. They would be Scag, the guys over at PLP with Bushranger Power Equipment. Ego, we know that they're a huge one that they look for direct feedback for you know, new development.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they're very engaged. Like if someone has an issue with a product, they can say like, "Hey, send us an email. Here's my email. Ring this number." Like
Yeah, the engagement is key. It's,
what else have we got? Greenworks.
so you got Greenworks, like Gary's always onto it. Yeah, like
That
I mean,
might be
like
about it,
like
yeah.
Paul's got a Paul from PLP.
Cox
He's-
Mowers.
yeah, you've got Ride as well. Like Paul from Bushranger, he wears a couple of hats. You know, they got Gravely now as well as Bushranger and a bunch of other shit. Like they have a lot of stuff that I didn't even know. So yeah, he wears a lot of different hats, but
But he's just another example
Yeah,
of
it's-
someone who they can see that, you know, so they're a part of, you know, let's just say LMCA, and he's not in there as, you know, Bushranger or what, like he's in there as Paul Sheehan.
yeah.
And if he sees an issue, he can say, and it's funny, he said it to me the other day, he'll send a message and say, "Is it okay for me to," or he'll put a comment, "Is it okay for me to PM you?" I'm like, why are you asking for this motherfucker's
Yeah,
you know,
permission.
permission when he's bloody blowing up and doing all this?
Yeah,
Whereas
all.
me, I'd be fucking texting the person, and be like, "Oi," you know.
Yeah.
But I think that I think being that like it makes you accountable for the products, you know, that you import, and I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, and look, that's our market. And you know, if you're talking openly about brands, let's talk about Cub Cadet, right?
Yep.
So they're in glossy magazines and newspapers and ads on TV and sponsoring race cars, because they're more of their market in my mind is, you know, your household blokes. You know, it's your people that pick up Women's Day and go, "Oh shit, that's a nice little mower." Mm-hmm. That's not really our market. Maybe we'll be one day, but you know, we're more contractor centric and focused. So, social media, LMCA events, you know, wherever we can to showcase it to that group of people is where we focus our energy.
Yeah, and look, BJ doesn't even know about this, but we have been doing a little bit of work with Milwaukee here and there, not much. And, you know, one of the head guys or whatever, you know, we've said, "Hey, come on the podcast." And they're just not allowed. Like, we sent him the interview with Baz because it got over really well,
great.
the Ego one. And I said, you know, "Hey, you know, like this could be a really great opportunity for you guys." And mate, the people over the top of him, like he said, "I'd love to." He wants to get together with us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know, unless we're going to showcase it, mate, like we don't give a fuck.
It's not the individual, it's the corporation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm getting at.
And look, some of the shit we say is like fucking left field, so I get it. But
Hey, we were good in the Gripsky interview. You have to admit.
we were good in the group. We were good with Baz too.
Got a little bit.
we loosened up a bit, but it is what it is. Like
It's not about you and me
it's not,
anyway.
it's
It's
like,
about the brand.
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny though to know that.
So anyway, Milwaukee's not allowed on the Skull Sessions, everyone.
Come on, Milwaukee.
But
what if we get Makita? Oh fuck!
I mean, I'd do it. Like I got no official ties.
Yeah.
So you know,
If they're listening, it might be on.
we might get Cub Cadet in here next week, eh?
I mean, it's good. It is
I'd
really
love them
good
to
to
come
get
on,
it's so it's such a different point of view of the business that we all sort of make our money from.
Yeah.
And look, I embrace the competition. I embrace the personalities in the industry. So, yeah,
There's a lot of larrikins out there.
Yeah, I was trying to catch up with Paul this week, but unfortunately he's in Sydney while I'm in Brisbane. But we chat.
He's with his other wife, I think.
He's going to bash you when he gets back.
He doesn't listen, mate. So
Come
I'm
on,
sweet.
Paul. I wonder if he listened to his one.
Someone will have to message him. Dob on me. Can't dob on me all the fucking time anyway.
But for the contractors out there, if you're wondering, we all chat. I was talking to the Red Max boys the other day about what they're doing. They're bringing in a new brand out of the US. I wish them all the best. We chat about.
Oh, mate, of course. I mean, we're all just people at the end of the
Absolutely.
day. I mean, different people have different stakes and stuff, but at the end of the day, competition is healthy in certain markets, I think, and it drives people to get better.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
It's funny, like you see reps moving around a lot in this industry too. And, I think it's good. I think it's a good thing. Fingers in as many pies as they can. They know about different brands. They can pick, they can actually pick apart a machine and say, this is where, the new company, this is where we win. And
I like it when they move to the new company and then they say, this is where this was no good.
Yeah.
Because they've left.
Yeah.
So
but brand hoppers as a contractor is a little bit different. I think open and honest, there's never been a financial deal with us. I'm all about the passion. These guys help me out with consumables and I love it. And I get to test anything that comes. Basically, that's how we roll. And then I get fantastic opportunities like going to the GIE.
And you get to hang out with Duncan.
And I get to hang out with Duncan.
Yeah. You got Rob
a-
Sherified, didn't you?
Yeah, he's
You
gone.
wanted Duncan all for yourself.
I used him and abused him, and then I left him in the gutter. Nah, but look, a lot of my work ethic and like things that I implement in my business comes from people like Rob and Duncan. Like
Absolutely.
I am not a business minded person, but hearing them talk and having someone to ask advice of, and it's huge.
Yeah, exposure.
It's a different kind of advantage.
And to Scag research and development team, and
and
Beach has input. We were over with the research development team 2 years ago.
Yeah,
we're going again this year. So,
I'm going again this year.
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
Slip that in.
You.
BJ's
going to GIE.
If this 21's going to work, then we need to do this and we need to do that. And, they listen. Next one that comes out, shit, Beach. That's what you said. So. Great opportunity for Beach. We don't pay him anything. We love him. We have a good time together.
Yeah. It's just I'm at an advantage because I do have a whole other network of people who can offer me advice that I just can't fucking ring the helpline and fucking get. Like these guys, and especially like even things with when everything happened with Ella, I had another support network right behind me the whole way.
I mean, the support was just amazing. From the whole industry, by the way.
Yeah, it was. It really was. So
even people that hate you reached out.
Which
is saying something.
That is saying something. But no, it's definitely it's just one of those things. I always thought that being a brand ambassador, if I was getting financially compensated, it would put a really big bias there. I think that once money comes into things, I think it's a bit
changes the relationship.
Gets a bit tacky. I think you're like, well, if I don't say that this is the best thing on earth, then I'm going to lose fucking a bit of weight in my pocket.
Look, I actually disagree a little bit.
Yeah?
This is probably a different conversation for a different time, but a paid influencer is not really that different to any form of advertising. Like if you turn on the TV and you're watching a TV show and you see an ad come up, for the Good Guys or like any ad, that network or, it's all a business transaction at the end of the day. And you see it with athletes all the time. Like, do you really think that these swimmers are actually taking these multivitamins like on their own?
Yeah, but
things like that. It's not that different.
But that's the thing, like you said before. I'm putting
saying
my hand up.
It helps if you have the passion. We know that. But I mean, I think also, people, and it's always only the salty ones. They just have this misconception. Like it almost works in reverse. It's like that person is getting fucking paid to say that. So now I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people have it twisted. I see it all the time. Like people will post a photo of a Catch Pro, and you see the comments, and they're like, "How much do you get for that? How much you get? How much they pay you for that photo?"
Yeah.
And it's like, man, how much money do you think I got? So you know, but if you know, we do some sneaky things here and there. You know, like I'll flick you this if you take a photo of that. Right. It's what fucking advertising is.
Yeah.
Business, yeah.
So I have a question. Might be a little too personal. Just cut me off if it is. You mentioned around the time that you bought International Mowers, had you just remarried or you just met your wife?
No, we had just remarried.
Okay, so was it a decision like that you guys had to make then
Together?
as a couple? Yeah, together.
Good question.
Or
So I was married for 15 years to my first wife. We broke up. Single for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Look at the smirk.
There was no crossover. No, I was single for a bit.
Yeah.
And then I met Ella, my wife now.
Yep.
Because we worked at NAB years ago.
Okay. Yep.
She came in. She was pretty hot. Still is. But back then, I was a young bloke. She came in the bank. We were just great friends.
Uh-huh.
And then she was also then got married and had a couple of kids. But we both happened to be single. Happened to meet. So we got together, and then it was probably we went out for a couple of years, and then we got married early 2018. But we decided to buy the business together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Look. The only reason why I asked that question is I met your wife.
Yep.
Lovely lady. She seemed very interested in certain parts of it.
Yep.
And I always, I only just think, like, when I started Catch Pro, Vicky was like, okay, as it started growing.
Yeah.
Then she became a huge part of it, and now she's a massive part of it. I actually believe the business is in her name somehow.
Yeah.
Fucking catch you later.
But I did wonder, the decision, you coming from the banking or coming from this other thing and then purchasing something like that. And I wondered, like, okay, was this like a joint decision? Is this a joint decision or,
So we were quite comfortable financially. We'd been through divorces but got remarried. We owned our home and, we put it all on the line to buy International Mowers. We borrowed every dollar we could.
So you're both in it together, like
Yeah.
in turn. No,
Yeah.
I know.
So
I
I
don't
ran-
mean financially. I'm just saying you're both in it together, as in you're both
It's
committed
decision.
as a couple.
So I went out there first, had a good look around, met up with Phil and John and chatted to them, and then went home. Said, "This is pretty good business. Come, let's have a look. I want your opinion." So we went back out, spent half a day. We walked around, and she noticed things that I didn't notice. Just the way the place ran, just the way it was clean and tidy. The employees were all polite and nice and neat. It had a great culture, great DNA. All the trucks had nice shiny tyres on them. They just looked after their shed. I was like, this is a great business. And she could also see that it needed some energy and oxygen. She said, let's buy it. You should buy it. This is on the car. But we bought it together on the basis I'd run it. She at the time was working for another bank still. It's grown so much she's now left the bank working for, she's our chief operating officer. So she does stuff. She never dreamt of working in a mowing business.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine that. Eh? Like I've said that to Vicky. I was like, did you ever think you'd just be packing up mower blades all day?
Yeah,
Or
that's
like,
same with Lou.
But but she's very complimentary in certain ways. So Ella's all over our FX. A big exposure for us is foreign currency. Everything we buy, apart from a few nuts and bolts here and there, is in a currency. So Scags we're buying in US dollars, and we're pre-committed for 12 months. We're buying McConnel in pounds and I'm buying Seppi in euros. So everything I buy has got a currency risk to it. Now Ella's like, what sort of currency strategy we got in place? I don't know. And I'm a banker.
yeah.
Like,
I can imagine if someone asked me that. Eh?
Shit, I got half a
Like,
million.
do you want my
dollars
account details?
I don't even know how to use fucking web banker.
So I got $500,000 of Skags coming. I got to pay for them. Well, what's the conversion rate? Because the Aussie dollar shit house at the moment. So Ella went about putting in place a currency strategy that without going into too much detail, basically says we will cover every purchase we know we're going to make for the next 6 months.
So she's hot and intelligent. Too.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, we taper off. But one of the things that allows us to maintain, because with Scag we'll do an annual price. And the only reason we can do that is because we've got a currency strategy. I've bought my currency till March of next year. It's already locked in at a known conversion rate. So if the Aussie dollar goes like this, well, I'm okay because it's locked and loaded.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
and
cool.
That's
I'm sure-
awesome.
That's really cool. Actually,
yeah.
and
Now, if
look,
it goes to 90 cents in the dollar, I'm losing out.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm making money based on the maths I did on what she's locked in.
yes.
So to those out there that are thinking you're going into business with your missus, or for the ladies with their bloke, they may not cut the lawn as good as you, or they may not be able to fix an engine, but there's complementary things they can do.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, I can say hands down.
She does all our marketing. Like
Yeah.
we're on the Facebook stuff
Yeah.
and Insta, but she's, all the high level stuff. She's setting a budget. She's teaching herself how to do it. She's doing it. Like today we're on the phone, come back from Gympie. She's like, I need footage of this Seppi that we got put in today. I'm going to be posting it. This will be the reel. How long is it going to go for? She's educated herself on all of that.
Social media is not easy. Like you would know.
Oh,
like
dude.
social media is a pig when you get like I can go for say a month and have really good traction, really good engagement, and I won't change anything except for maybe I'll post like half an hour later here or too early there. And it just fucking nosedives. No one cares about your shit.
But
All of a
like-
sudden you're like, what the fuck?
It'll. Oh, seriously, I get blown away every time I have a look at like my monthly spend from Patch Agency does our social media marketing,
Yep.
and they give me a report on how much we sold based off each click or whatever. And like I'm telling you, you can't afford not to do it. Like it just blows my mind. And then they come back with these ridiculous forecasts. Like, okay, if you give us like another $2,000 a month, we can get you another, say $40,000 in sales. And I'm like, like, can you guarantee me this? And they're like, look, we can't guarantee you, but it's a forecast, and this is what we're saying. We're telling you to do that. And I just can't believe
The power of it.
it is. And I can't remember if I even said this during our last episode, but people actually call me now or they email and they say, this ad come up on Facebook, and then this ad just keeps coming up on Facebook. I keep seeing you all over my Facebook.
I keep seeing
and
you
they're
fucking
like,
everywhere.
can I order some mower blades? And I'm like, holy shit. Like,
I tell you,
it come up on their news feed so much
It's so powerful.
that they were forced to call me and order some blades. I can't believe it.
I'll give you a live example. So Ella implemented a CRM tool, customer relationship management, called HubSpot. Measures our emails. And if you want, you can attach it to your mobile. I don't put it on the mobile, but it's certainly on the email. So if I send Ben an email, I can see when you got it. I can see what you clicked into it, how long you're in it, how long you stuffed around, when you closed it, when you went back into it. So it also measures traffic from that email address or that IP address to our website. And where you go and
that's
what you
cool.
That's clever.
where you go and what you do. So last night I was having a beer with Beach, and Ella rings me and says, "Who's XYZ?" And I said, "Oh, I remember the name." She goes, "HubSpot says you quoted him a $140,000 robot in October last year," and I did. I remember. Oh yeah, that's right, I did. He's in Melbourne. He's looking at a roadside machine. It's 140 grand. She goes, "He's in our website. He's been in there the last week, and he's been in 8 times. And he's looking at the robot. He's looking at the 40 horsepower and the 60 horsepower.
Can that
he's
thing
swimming
tell
around the hook?
Can that thing tell though if they go to another website?
No,
Oh,
just
that
ours.
would be cool.
Yeah.
That would
So
be fun.
Yeah.
he's a fish swimming around the hook.
Yep.
So I flicked him a note just before we turned up and had a beer last night. I said, "How's things? Any updates? Do you need any more information?" He called me as well and said, "I need a demo. Can we get a demo next week?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Us mowing blokes now,
Yeah.
would never thought
The
of
tools
doing
that are in the arsenal
It's
now
amazing.
are fucking crazy. And I don't use any of them, and it's to my detriment. I could,
Look, the mowing game
I
is
think
different. The
it
mowing
is a
game
bit
is-
different, but you guys, you really have a very good advantage now to grab those customer bases and actually really engage without engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you know what they're doing without them knowing what you know that they're doing. It's like, well, okay.
in the mowing game, I mean, I just remember when I get obsessed with something, like I have to have it. And so there was particular villages or particular acreages, contracts and stuff that like, I would have called myself a serial pest. And I did the same thing with Catch Pro. But, like I've told a story once, like there was like this gazillion dollar property. And the only way I could get noticed was like, I I threw like 50 business cards on their driveway, and I was like, you know, these motherfuckers have to notice me now. You know, things like that. Like if you, I think it's different if you're in the residential market and you're cutting residential lawns. There is really just a plethora of work there. But I think if you're doing your targeting stuff, getting into, you know, the villages and, you know, even some of this council space stuff, you just have to be persistent. And I don't know that some of this social media stuff would really cross over. It probably does in some ways. I've picked up jobs from LinkedIn, you know, when I was mowing and, you know, different, you know, other forums and stuff like that. But it's all interesting stuff. Like contractors out there, this types of info should definitely get the gears spinning, right? Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Because you can apply it to every aspect of business.
Yep.
So, anyway, with that being said, it's getting late and we got dinner on the way, dude.
Right.
So, thank you so much for joining us on the Skull Sessions. It's been a big day for everyone. You came straight from Gympie, right?
Yeah,
straight from Gympie to Brizzy.
All day. Yeah.
Just really quickly, what's Gympie like?
It's lovely.
Okay. Look, the only reason why I'm asking
It's
is
green. There's a lot of grass.
I don't mind Gympie.
I went up the coast. I haven't been there, but I went up the coast and I met with someone that we went to school with.
Yep.
And he was a local here, and he said, "I fucked off out of Wynnum. I live in Gympie now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, cool, man. Like, what's that like?" And he's like, "I fucking love it. I'll never go back to city life."
Yeah.
I've only been there a couple of times. It's a beautiful place. A lot of grass.
Is it rural then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's nice. We stop there whenever we go up to Burrum, which so a couple of times a year we'll stop off there.
Burrum's further than Gympie, is it?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, it's another. I think Gympie's like halfway.
So
Gympie's a
how
couple of hours out of Brizzy. So
Gympie's where
we
I have
dashed
to.
up this morning, spent the day up there doing some stuff, and then back
Was it
home.
3 or 4 hours?
No, it's only 2 hours up.
Oh,
Yeah, Burrum's
Brisbane
4.
traffic at the moment's ridiculous.
I should go there now. Eh?
And Gympie's where I have to stop and shit. Up to the 4 coffees to keep me awake.
It just wouldn't be a Skull Sessions without BJ talking about it. Fucking shit. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Very
To all of our
appreciated.
listeners, we will have another episode following this. And it's going to be the interactive thread. Thread's still there on LMCA. So
I've got fucking notes in this book.
on the thread?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't yet, but I usually do that a minute before the show.
Yeah.
Anyways, until then, I'm at Catch Pro. He's at TBL, and we're out of time. Thank you.
Peace.
We did it.
Thank you. Went right up.
Yeah.